Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Dr. Paraminder Talwar, a doctor of business administration with a thesis involving the use of artificial intelligence and robotic technology. He is exceptional in the field of project management with a remarkable career spanning over 2.5 decades in information technology. His extensive experience includes over 2 decades of successfully managing multiple large, complex projects and programs, making him a proven leader in the field. He has been a speaker at international conferences on benefit and value management and is one of the contributors to the 4th and 5th editions of PMBOK, that is, Project Management Body of Knowledge, published by PMI in 2008 and 2013, and has also been involved in the development of the PMP exams conducted by the Project Management Institute. His core competencies encompasses a wide range of skills, including project management, organizational skills, PMO expertise, process improvement, cutover management, operations management, ITIL, change management, resource management, problem resolution, waterfall and agile processes, content management. At present, he is working as corporate faculty at Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Dr. Talwar.
Oh, thank you. And first of all, thanks for having me, Sunny. It's a pleasure and look forward to talking to you.
Pleasure. So could you elaborate on your experience managing large and complex projects and programs in the information technology field?
Absolutely. I've been in, like, as you mentioned, like over 25 years in information technology, and I've been managing various large, complex programs for various industries. Been in the telecom industry, been in the healthcare, in the pharmaceutical, in the financial industry with various different banks, including the World Bank. And large, multinational related projects and programs that have been managing. I'll give you an example of one of them, of course, which is, it was basically a telecom industry. I can give you an example from there. What they were trying to do is create a new top of a process or a new service that they were trying to give to the, the people in the country. So it was a project from a whole country point of view. And then you can imagine when somebody is giving a new service from a telecom point of view, and we had to do so many different things. It's like basically it's not just providing that service and you're trying to create that particular program, but it has so many peripherals to add it to it. For example, in the US, we need to have 411, which is like a service directory, because if anybody wants to know the numbers, then you have to have the 911 also incorporated in it for an emergency point of view. So basically incorporating all these different things. And on top of that, as if you know that we have different area codes like you have in any other country too. And then making sure that we have different time zones too, like, from east to the west coast, it's a 3-hour time difference. And of course, the other part of Hawaii, which is even further 3 hours. And trying to make sure that we are able to connect everything and test on these different switches across the different states, and then making sure we get up early in the morning and do these tests, when the traffic is slow. And then not only doing these different testing, but making sure that they're all integrated and the normal stuff that you normally have, the unit tests and the integration testing and the whole 9 yards. On top of that, we had to do something what is called a simulated testing type of a thing, in the sense that suppose if we have 100,000 customers joining us at one particular point of time, is our system robust enough to be able to accept them, or is it going to fail? So we had to do the testing not only from a positive point of view, but even from a negative point of view, that what is the breaking point and why it is happening. So we used to come, I used to work with the team. It's a basically team effort. So all of us were working together, putting the user cases, putting it in the simulated environment, making sure that, we are meeting the different criteria and we'll be able to handle the new volume that is expected and stuff. And then you can imagine, we had commercials going on the TV that, this telecom company is providing this and people are already signing off. So any other project, you can know the timelines are very important. However, you may be able to shift a few here and there here. People had already signed up on it. Dates have already been announced on the TV. There was no way to move the needle, We had to make sure that it is robust enough and it is implemented on a particular day. And of course, finally, when it did happen, it was a big relief and it was a big success for the company to create this. And we had thousands of new customers that had been added to this service, and the company did very well after that. And then you can imagine when you walk on the road and you meet your friend and they say, oh, we have signed up for this particular service. You can feel that, yes, most of the projects are related within the organization. This is beyond. You can actually touch and feel that people are actually using what you have created. So it was a good, very great feeling. So.
Amazing. Thank you for the excellent start to this interview, Dr. Talwar. And I must say your career journey is truly inspiring.
Thank you.
So continuing our conversation, how do you approach problem analysis and problem solving in your role as a project and program manager? That is part A. And could you provide an example of a challenging problem you have successfully resolved?
Sure. Like from a process point of view, yes, and I'll talk about it later down the road if you want. I've been quite a bit in, developing new different processes and making sure. And then you have, the incident management and the problem management that, from an incident, what happened, and then problem management is like going to the root cause of it and, where the source code or whatever, and making sure it happens. But I'll give you a real example of that. I was actually working as a global director in the project management field for one of the large pharmaceutical companies. And what happens is when you're creating a particular drug, we have these components of the particular drug coming from different parts of the world. It could be from Asia, it could be from Europe, it could be South America, and we have all these different components, and then they are all gathered together, and then we do the testing and make sure that the drug is suitable for the humans. So basically, what happened was in one of these particular sites, the FDA had found an issue. So they went there and they said that this particular does not conform to as per the FDA regulations. And we have a particular issue for this one. So from that point of view, what happened was they said, we're going to stop you getting this particular component of the drug from this particular country, at least from this particular site. We may have different sites in the same country too. However, so what happened was with that component not coming in, that particular drug, we could not create. I mean, we had various other drugs coming up, but that particular drug was also one of the blockbusters for the company. And that had to be stopped, the manufacturing, till we get the FDA approval because of that. So what we did was immediately sent our auditors to that particular site to make sure what is the issue and what happened. They went there, they looked into it. It was not a very major issue, but however, they resolved it. Everything was fine. So from a process point of view, we created what is called the CAPA, the corrective action, preventive action type of a thing. So what that was making sure that there is a corrective action which is taken part on that particular site for that particular component of that drug. However, from a preventing point of view, we wanted to make sure all the different components of all the different drugs from that site are not only done, but all the other sites across the world also. We do not want for any other drug anywhere else in Europe or Asia or South America or North America to have any such issues. So we made sure from a preventive point of view that we don't have any such issues anymore anywhere. So we had the corrective action at that particular point, but the preventive action from a global perspective. And of course, and then we had to go back and forth with FDA, and of course they approved it when they saw that, and everything is fine. The company was excellent after that. But we had to put this particular process in place and make sure it's really adhered to all our counterparts across the globe.
That sounds incredible. So building onto that, could you discuss your core competencies, including project management, PMO expertise, process improvement, and others, and how have these skills contributed to your career success?
Sure. From a project management perspective, and particularly the project management offices as a perspective, like you already mentioned earlier, from name being in a couple of PMBOKs, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, and being involved with the Project Management Institute. However, when you're creating a project management office, it's more for that particular organization, and in fact, it's not only for that industry, it has to be for that particular organization itself, even within the same industry. Because the project management office is not a cookie cutter thing. It has to be done because the basic purpose of the project management office is to bring actually value to the organization. And that's the end result, right? Because you want to make sure that this particular organization, moves forward and they have a process which has to be in place. So for that, we had to create a whole new process across the organization uh, for making sure that this particular process and is basically being adhered by all the different components. And when we created this particular process, I had to go and make sure to all the different parts of the countries, since it was a global project and a global organization, to make sure everybody's adhering to it. The main thing in any particular process is people have to understand and answer the question, what is it for me? So make them understand why we are doing this process and how this is going to help them do their job better. It should not be another checkpoint. It should not be something that's just there because it has to be there. It has to have a value added to it. Why are we doing it? And what's the value part of it? And if there is no value, what's the point of them having this new particular process, right? So that is the key. And like a value, I'll just give you a small example of what a value from just a layman's perspective is. Basically, if somebody's grandfather or great grandfather gives a pen to somebody and says $20, so from a cost benefit analysis, uh, and somebody comes forward and says, "I'll give you $100 for this pen." So from a cost benefit, it's like 5 times the cost. From a value perspective, that person may say, I'm not going to part with it because they have a sentimental value. So in today's world, it's no longer the cost benefit analysis, it's the value side of things. So anytime I've been going to a company and I ask them, how do you gather your requirements? And they say, we have these brainstorming sessions and we do this. And I tell them, and we have these SMEs in a room. And I tell them that's a very old way of doing things. In today's world, we do something called what is as is and to be. And I tell them, what is it? What are your pain points as of today? What is it that's not working? And then tell me and go as a time machine, say, go back to say it's 15th of February, 2025, in a year from now. And now look at it in the present tense, not in the future tense. Don't think it's next year. Think it's as of today. Stand on the hilltop and tell me how this land of milk and honey looks like. And they say, oh, wow, these were our pain points. This is what the issue is. But now we just touch this. This happens. It used to take 10 seconds. It's taking me 2 seconds. It's doing this. It's doing this. These processes are where that is what the utopia is. So they want to go from A to Z. And that is how they get there. So that is the key and those are the requirements. So once you get that, you minimize a lot of change management, you minimize a lot of, people coming back and forth. And, this is exactly what they want. I've been like an international speaker on these type of conferences on the benefits value management thing. And this is something which I've helped implement in various organizations and processes and stuff, and which has actually helped millions of dollars for various companies, both in the insurance, healthcare, pharmas, and various different places and stuff. I've even recently been called as an international speaker for a few different conferences internationally. And this is a process which really helps, and it's a way of doing things. And then and this actually goes to the bottom line of the company, because that's the value. Like when you go to the market, you buy shoes or clothes or phone or anything, a person would pay an extra money for a particular brand name than versus something else. And why that brand name? That's the value they have created. It's the same component, right? You could have got that for $30. Why are you paying $80 for that same? But it has a stamp of a different name. It's a brand name. That's the value that you add. So these are the processes that help in adding those values to those different things. And that's what makes it different than what we have otherwise. So these are little stuff that, have create this value point of view, and then creating the processes and making sure that the processes are there for the people. And then it's not only like we talked earlier, like, that what's in for me, but on the other hand, how do you do this? It's the two questions, why and how. When you ever have a process, that why are we doing this? So tell them, because anybody would do things better if they know why they're doing it rather than being told that they have to do this. And then you may have the best processes in the world, the best technology in the world. If people do not know how to use it, they will not use it. So make sure you follow it up with a proper training so that they know how to use it. So they know the why and they know the how. It's a fantastic success story, and you will see it being implemented across, and people really making best use of those processes.
Amazing. Amazing, Dr. Talwar. So moving forward, our viewers would like to know, what values do you bring to the table in the ESG and corporate governance space?
Sure. From an ESG point of view, you have your environment, social, and governance perspective. And in today's world, we keep talking about the environment and the climate change and stuff. From corporate point of view, it's very, very important that we make sure that, the environment part of it is taken care of, in the sense, try to reduce the fossil fuels as far as possible, right? In today's world, we are trying to harness most of the sunshine and make, rather than going for the electricity point that way. Basically what it is we are digging deep in the ground for taking out the coal and putting those emissions up in the air and spoiling the environment. So we want to make sure that we have a corporate thing in our organization, and how we can do more of recycling, making sure that we cut down on these use of fossil fuels, cut down on these different smokes and stuff in the company. And then from the social and the governance point of view, it's very, very important. And I think in India, we have this rule, actually, the corporate social responsibility, the CSR, what they call it, the 2% of their net profit has to be given for the social responsibility. So that itself shows that there's so much of awareness for this, and people really want to have this responsibility. In the sense, I've also seen that at work, if you have more diverse people working from different cultures and different places, and you have a mix of men and women, and you have equal opportunity for everybody, equal pay, it really brings a lot of harmony in the company. The company actually has grown. It has been actually proven that wherever you have these multicultural type of people, where you have more women working there and you have men, and at equal size, equal pay for equal work, those companies have done much more better and have excelled, rather than the companies that have not followed those different rules. And I'm a big proponent that this is something that we should definitely follow up on. And then coming from, making sure from a responsibility point of view, the other thing is very, very important is the ethical side of things. And there are a couple of things I can give you an example of. One is, of course, that I've been on technology, and I've been on both sides of the table from a management point of view and stuff. And I've seen different organizations, when they do their presentations, we have something called a RAG report, red, amber, and green, how the projects and things are going. And some of the organizations would say, oh, everything is green, green, green. And then suddenly, you get a red, which from a technology perspective, nobody wants a bad news right at the end. If it was amber, and I keep telling them that it was, please let us know right there and then. In fact, you don't even have to wait for the meeting escalated as soon as you know that there's something beyond your control. Because what happens is somebody in the management or somebody in the organization may be able to help them to get back from an amber or a yellow to green. If they don't, it goes to red. And if it does, and everybody's aware of it, it's there, everybody knows about it. But it's a responsibility from all these common, these different consulting companies and internally who are doing it, be very truthful and honest and upfront. If it is working, fine. If not, then let them know. Coming from the same thing, I'll give you an example of, from a corporate responsibility point of view. We had some years back, there was a project which was done, it was mandated by the FDA in the US, which was Physicians Payment Sunshine Act. So what the Physician Payment Sunshine Act entailed was that, and I was, working on that. That was part of my project thing and part of the team. So what that was, and it was like above $40 million program that we were managing. It was anytime you have these salespeople, they go to different physicians' offices and stuff, and they give gifts in order to promote their particular drug. So we had to make sure, and every state laws are different, that you can give gifts only up to $50 or $75 or whatever, and depending on whether you're in Iowa or South Dakota or California or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania or Maryland, every state, and then we had to make sure that these people are only giving gifts up to the amount required. Again, that's corporate responsibility to make sure there's honesty and you're not bribing the physicians to put your drug in the market. The drug should be there because it is useful for the humans. And you want to give some gifts, maybe as a token, you could do that. And again, that limit had been put in place, which basically served the purpose. And it was a huge, very complex project. You can imagine 50 states in the US, laws different in different states, and then making sure it complies to the federal laws, complies to each of the state laws. But the basic purpose, again, corporate responsibility, making sure honesty is there, and people, when these customer service people are going, they're giving gifts, it is regulated up to a particular limit, and they cannot go beyond that. So anything which the corporate point of view, it's the honesty, integrity, making sure diversity. This is something which has to be promoted, and people have to make sure that they adhere to these stipulations in order for the company to grow.
Exceptional, Dr. Talwar. All right. So moving forward, since you belong to technology landscape, here is my next question to you.
Sure.
What are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, Web 3.0, etc.?
Sure. As you know, this is the world of change, right? And as it is said, you may be on the right track, but you'll get run over if you just sit there. In today's world, change is the new constant, as we call it, because like 10 years back, change was there, but in today's world, it's so fast. If you don't keep up with the change as an individual or as a company, you're not going to be staying very long. And we have seen so many organizations around us which have vanished because they could not keep up with the new technology and the changes. So giving you some examples from what I've seen, and as we all know, the blockchain, and of course, it's integrated spreadsheet, but it's a technological thing, and then that's why they call it a chain, and the block is a little, the little datas which are there, and that's how and it is basically making sure that those, and then there are different nodes where make sure that this data is correct, and that's how it is, and that's how this blockchain terminology has come up, and they make sure that you have the correct data, nobody can actually hack into it and stuff like that. However, we don't want to go into too much technical side of things, but basically artificial intelligence, again, artificial intelligence is nothing but trying to mimic the human brain and see from a data perspective how we can, do the permutation combination and the different, and how we can use this for the benefit of the people. And as you have seen from, all things around us, things have changed so fast. And since I have done my artificial intelligence from MIT, and then I, even as you mentioned, my doctorate, which I have done, which also had used artificial intelligence and robotic technology. I'll give you some examples from, at least from my thesis perspective and what I've done at MIT. Basically, what it is, from my thesis perspective, it was more from an educational point of view. So what I had done was that making sure that what we, from a teacher's perspective, how is it if you could have a robot in the class instead of my teaching assistant, since I'm a professor too. So if you have a teaching assistant as a robot, 24/7, the person will be able to answer the questions. We'll have, we'll be able to mark all the different papers and the assignments of the students. So it'll take away the pressure from the professors or the teachers, and basically, help them do that, and help the students in the self answer the questions whenever they want any type of question they have. They are all answered at the right time and stuff. Of course, we have the drawbacks. They don't have empathy and, all the eye contact, and it's still a robot, it's a machine. However, apart from the drawbacks, it has a lot of value that has added to it. And that was my entire thesis from there. And if you go to my LinkedIn, you can actually see a synopsis of my thesis over there. The other one was basically that, when I was at MIT, it was more from a hospital side of things. And what I had done there was have a robot as a nurse assistant. And what that nurse assistant would do is make sure the patient who is in the hospital gets the medication on time, make sure that they're actually taking the medication. And then if they're not having that medication over there, send a signal to the pharmacy to make sure that they can get the medication from the pharmacy to these people. Even check the pharmacy database. If that particular medication is, going down, make a signal to even the warehouse to make sure the warehouse sends that particular medication to the pharmacy as soon as possible. So it's a whole chain reaction, and the signal. The other thing which I had seen in the hospitals was particularly in the US was sometimes you have a language issue. People are speaking Spanish or some other languages and Chinese, so this particular robot would have all those different languages, would be able to understand, converse with them in whatever language the patient wants to talk, help them understand, overcome all these different barriers, overcome the medical issues, make sure the doctors and whenever the nurses come, they are given updated information whether the person has taken the drug or not and what the condition is. And as you know, in today's world, they are even doing a lot of, the robots are performing different operations and all that stuff. So that was part of my studies over there. And from a technology perspective, and coming back to the latest one, you probably might have heard of it, the Neuralink, which is created by Elon Musk, on 20th of January 2024. This year itself, like a month ago, have created a sort of a little chip thing which can be put in the human brain, and it is so small, it can be only done by a robot. It cannot be done by a human. And that basically what it does is you can actually talk with the computer or any machine by just thinking without using the keyboard or without anything. So it's something which, it's connected with your thought process. So these are amazing technologies, and in the sense, and people who are challenged or who are not able to use their limbs properly don't need to type anything. They can just think about it, and they can search things. They can play games just with their brain, the way they think about it. So technology has evolved quite a lot, and the way it is evolving, it's going to you can think about anything and it's going to happen. So you can make sure. So yeah, it's a fantastic thing, and everybody keeps telling me, information technology, artificial intelligence is going to take away jobs and stuff. So I just keep telling them, earlier we had the typewriters. When computers came, what happened? It actually created so many more jobs, right? All of us, our bread and butter is from IT. And similarly, it's just you have to change your way of approach. Yes, like we talked about it earlier on, if you do not change the name of the game today, it's the new constant, as we call it. If you don't change, you're left behind. And if you keep changing, like for example, so what we were just talking about, so that means the chip, somebody has to create it. The robot, somebody has to create it. The robot is going to go bad. Somebody has to service it. So yes, some of the mundane jobs, the day-to-day jobs may not be there. However, these technical jobs and these jobs like, learning Python or whatever, the new technologies and new software, those jobs, there are plenty and plenty of opportunities. In fact, there's a shortage of people in those type of technologies and fields. So it all depends how you take it, in the negative or the positive side of things, and things change. And I mean, we have seen the changes and we adapt to it. Like, for example, when I first came to the US, we used to go to Blockbuster to get us CDs and DVDs and stuff like that, and Blu-rays and stuff. Then came Netflix, and then started sending it in the mail. And then, of course, that mail is gone there. Now you click a button and there are hundreds of channels and you don't even need that. So things are evolving, and we just take it for granted that it's happening, right? Similarly, these things will pass and people will just take it as is. Like, now you go to the stores again, you have to have cashiers. Now, number have been reduced. Some places they don't even have. You just pick up stuff, you do self-check and you walk out. And we are getting so used to it. And That's the name. Like, and things are happening around us, and we are embracing it. Some of us still criticize it, but we keep embracing it, however. And and we just, the only thing is, let's get with the change. Let's accept it. They used to say earlier, the writing is on the wall. In fact, the wall has already been written. It's already there, and we are actually embracing it. So let's go with it.
Amazing, amazing, Dr. Talwar. Thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So this brings us to the last question of the session, and here it is. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
Oh, these are excellent efforts. And the word which I really like one of the words that you just used in your question, which is cross-pollination. If you see it in nature, all these different bees, when they go from one flower to the other, they produce such beautiful nectar and fruit and stuff like that. And this is exactly what these guys are doing with all these different people from different walks of life, different industries, different places. We get to know each other. And it's all learning from each other, right? No, I mean, whatever expert one may be, we are all learners, right? And they have really provided this fantastic platform for all of us to learn from each other and to grow. And I guess this is as cross-pollination, the word I really like that. And this is what's really helping the whole thing to go. And I would just say this was an excellent initiative that they have taken, and I guess it's going to go a long way. It's not only for people working in industry and others who can see what's happening and hear to these different talks from different people. It's a great learning experience, a great platform, a great place for people to network, get to know each other. I think it's fantastic from all different angles. Hats off to these guys.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Dr. Talwar, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thanks, Sunny. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure.
And thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day.
Thanks, you too. Take care. Bye.